Welcome to Beyond the AGM, a production of AGORACOM, in which we talk to company executives about little more detail about what they're going to be presenting at their AGMs. This company, St. George's Echo Mining, SX on the CSE, is the company that we're talking about. We've got Vilhjalmsson, who's the president and CEO of St. George's, and we've also got Frank Dumas, CEO and director of the company. This is the last segment. For those of you who haven't seen the prior segments, we go into specific detail about the Iceland assets, the lithium processing technology, North Shore, and Borealis. North Shore being the Canadian assets, and Borealis being the company's crypto blockchain platform. And now this last segment here is we're tying in the loose ends and asking the final questions that were provided by our shareholders in the verified forum. Thanks for all the shareholders who posted questions. We posted some questions in those specific segments, and the remainder we got here. Gents, welcome back.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So look, this is the last segment here. There's no topic. It's the tie-up. It's the grand finale. So let's go into a couple of questions first. I like to call them house questions, and then we'll go into the final questions from the shareholders. So first questions. And this just happened, so it's timely. How does the reacquisition of Kings of the North factor into St. George's overall plan? Can you explain the transaction and the reasoning for it?
Yes, it's very simple. I mean, we did the original deal just under 12 months ago, where we sold the Kings of the North, and what we had done prior to the Kings of the North is we swept up all the gold assets that was within St. George, and we thought that weren't showing the real value at that time. So we sold that to BWA Group in the UK, they've had some problems working on it from their side, and then COVID hit full force. We've been supportive with them, and in the discussions during the last couple of months, and more or less the fact that they weren't able to properly manage the projects from the other side. In that discussion, the idea of if we would just buy it back appeared, and we had an internal discussion, and with the looming gold boom coming up, we thought it was actually quite good investment to buy it back.
Sure.
We haven't taken any decisions of what's the next step, except that we're going to protect the claims, do the desired work or the necessary work to keep them in good order, and take Kings of the North either public or wend it out or work on them. That's a decision that will be taken over the course of the next few weeks.
It's important to know that the assets inside of it has changed a little bit. The EMLO Northlam option was not executed on their part, so that's one important block that's not there anymore. We still have the Winter House assets, which is fantastic. We have Nova Gold, and the Izokostuk platinum, palladium, and nickel copper project is back. And honestly, like Vil said, it cannot be better time. They couldn't get on the project themselves. The region was closed, and you couldn't travel to that region until the mid-July. It did definitely hamper their ability to raise money and try to prepare a program to go work on it. The difference is we got on our side the First Nation discussion going. So this is something that doesn't, it's by entity. So for us, it fixed that. And the fact that the Quebec government pretty much stalled any renewal obligation, exploration obligation for 1 full year, and might extend it because of the pandemic, is also an advantage to us that they were not able to have on their side. So it does make sense. And I understand that they're regrouping on the assets they have already, the things that they were already working on, and will be a supportive shareholder.
And it's worth noting
to say, guys, at the end of the day, serendipitous that this happened.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that after the transaction is concluded, which should be within a few days, then we still hold almost or just shy of 20% of their outstanding shares in BWA, which is publicly listed, and it's all £400,000, which was what, $700,000 or something of value. So it's an asset. So I think actually, to be brutally blunt with it, we saw an opportunity, and I think we just made a good deal.
Yep, clearly, guys. I mean, at the end of the day, even if it was a straight swap, you sold the asset at a certain price when gold was much lower, and you got it back pretty much at the same price when gold was much higher. So that's
not only that. When we sold it, we only owned 50-point-something%. When we buy it back now, we will have it 100%.
Right, even better.
Yeah.
Question 2: St. George's. What are St. George's core value points, and how do they dovetail into your overall development strategy?
Well, it's a combination of two things. It's our eco-green strategy, which is part of the methodology. And then it's, of course, the gold assets in Iceland and the PGM assets in Canada. And it all interlinks, because all the projects that we are working on, we consider that we can bring to the table more eco-friendly and greener solution of the mining. And that's, for example, what we're going to aim at doing here in Iceland, is to take a greener look at it. And we're hoping to be able to more or less produce the most eco-friendly gold in the world, where all the energy used is renewable, and etc., less chemicals. So we're hoping that the gold that we will produce here in Iceland will be sold at a premium for that.
And Vil, let's talk a little bit, just for a minute, about what is also possible down the road with Iceland, and how you may have, you can literally turn on a tap to get gold. That was an interesting conversation we touched on earlier, just to give everyone, a vision as to what may come down the road.
Well, like I explained, we have here in Iceland what we call black smokers on land. And it's the only place in the world where you have black smokers on land, because everywhere else they're underwater, and they're not everywhere else. There are very few places in the world. Papua New Guinea is one of them. And there's a company, I haven't watched it for a while, called Nautilus, that's going to mine it from the bottom of the sea. However, a few years back, there was an incident with one of the thermal plants here who produces renewable energy, that one of their hole started to get clogging up. And so they got the government body that is like specializes in the field of energy to have a look and see what could possibly cause the clogging of the pipes. And it emerged it was just full of minerals. So what happens is, basically under a certain pressure, and when the steam hits certain pressure, all the minerals fall out. So they basically fall into the pipe, and they scale it from inside until it clogs. So, and that's one of the, as we mentioned before, whereas the map from the government, which shows almost 900 grams per ton of gold and all the other minerals, and it's basically is concentrated inside the pipe. So down the road, and this is absolute future, and there's no certainty in any of this. This will take years just to get the license. But we really want to explore the possibility of drilling into the black smokers. And we would be the first company to ever do so, which basically would mean that we would get the minerals out of the ground without having to mine it. It will just basically go into and scale the pipes, and we would clean it out on a regular basis. Which means we couldn't have a massive resource.
Anything.
So.
Right, Vil? No mine, no anything.
No, just one hole, or two or three, or how many, and the minerals would just come up. So no mining equipment, no mining trucks, nothing. It would be an expensive hole. But the fact of the matter is, we know what pressure we need to put it on. So, and we have the report from the government actually proves the point. It's just about who's going to do it.
Well, hopefully, I mean that sounds pretty incredible, and I know I mean, when you say years away, Vil, is that something that's 20 years away or 4 years away?
Well, probably say it's many years away. Put it that way.
Right. But still, I thought
we
that was
could be
really
lucky
interesting.
if the government buys into it and we get the permit to drill. It's just a question of how long. To put a drill hole like this is a process. It'll take us at least 2-3 years.
Right. But still, and I mean, I just thought that everyone should know about that at home because it's just something I've never heard of. They've never heard of. No one's banking on today, but it's good to know that that's something that could be a few years down the road. I mean, this part of
at least we're going to try. We're going to try to get the permits. If it goes, it goes. If not, then not. We'll see.
Last question before we get into the Q&A. Frank, maybe this is more for you. St. George's, you've acquired the remaining landlocked portions of Manic.
Mm-hmm.
Was that part of the initial strategy? And how's that magnified the project's potential?
Not necessarily, in the sense that we didn't need these two claims to be able to develop it. Obviously, they make everything better. There's a good amount of drilling done there. So for our approach to do 3D geophysics or to do downhole geophysics, there's a sum of drilling that was done there. One of the reasons why there was a lot of drilling there is because the camp was there. So when you wait for the chopper to come back, the helicopter to come back and bring the drill, and you're standing there and you don't necessarily have other targets, but you still have diesel and you still have time on the rental on the drill, you can put a few more drill holes, and that's what they did around the camp. Also, one of these claims as one of the historical camp there. So access to the project and all that. We don't need to ask permission to the claim holder anymore. There is a certain amount of material at surface on one of these claims, actually on both claims, but one has been drilled, and we know that at one point we lose the mineralization at depth. It pinch and it reappears on our claims on the side to the east. So we've had that discussion earlier that a lot of it has been reworked in the Grenville geological province. It's one of the phenomenon where you get to a depth and suddenly you almost, if you can figure out where that mineralization has cut and has been moved a bit, you'll find out in the general area where all the mineralization has been moved when you lose it after a few meters. And but it was an interesting claim to add. Definitely, the fact that we have 115 something claims, maybe a little bit more there, and there was two claims in the middle that not in right in the middles, but they were both in the middle of other showings, known showings, was a bit of an irritation or an irritant until now. Now that's fixed. So I think that all in all, we paid a good price for it, and it allows us to do a better geophysical pass at it. And we're not going to drill these claims again. They've been drilled enough, but we'll be able to integrate them into the models.
Shareholder Q&A. Thanks to everyone who posted their questions in the St. George Verified Forum on AGORACOM. Again, a great example of how, of great engagement between management and shareholders. If you don't hear your question here, it's because it was probably posted in one of the earlier specific segments. So we did address some of the questions there. Now we're going to address the more general ones here. First three come from Pure Power, and it doesn't look like Pure Power's got a question about warrants. So the first one is, in the past, warrants have held down the share price of the company. How does adding 9 million shares at 33 and warrants at 37 over 24 months help improve the share value for shareholders who have been supporting the company for many years?
I might want to answer that one quickly here. I don't know where we have these warrants, and the pricing seems odd, so it might be a mix-up. But I'll make one comment. We had warrants at 4 cents and warrants at 6 cents when the stock price went over $2 a few years ago. So historically, and it systematically in St. George, warrants have never held our stock down. And it's money coming into the bank, so it's money that's being reinjected in exploration and development right away.
Second question: with the value of precious metals at an all-time high, I'm not sure where the warrants. Why have you chosen to restrict your share value by adding warrants? I'm not. There must be some confusion there in these questions, right, guys?
I think it might be just, if you compare other companies that have less activity or, a weaker or less liquid market, it might make a difference. In certain cases, yeah, it might create a pressure. It's a matter of working the market also. It's knowing that when we establish a warrants, it's because we have a fair expectation that they'll be taken out. We're not issuing warrants in St. George, and we never did that. And Vil has the same philosophy on this when he joined. If we have these warrants there, it's because when we'll be ready and we'll be there, these warrants are going to be taken out. It's going to be additional money. We won't have to do a private placement. It's money that's going to come in right away and allow us to finance at the stage we'll be at that time. And we never issued warrants with the intent of having them never being executed. So to execute warrants at any price, you need to be higher than that price. So we never issue warrants to cap the price ever.
Next question from Kirsten. Is the pilot plant up and running now? And what is the anticipated time frame for completion of stage 2 benchmark of the R&D initiatives with Iconic Minerals? She's defined, or they've defined stage 2 of the development. I don't know if you need that, but or just answer the question there. Is the pilot plant up and running? And what's the anticipated time frame for completion of stage 2?
Well, the pilot plant as such is up and running, but we're not at the stage now that I'm trying to understand the question correctly, but we have finished stage 1 of the agreement with Iconic, and we're working towards stage 2. And maybe Frank, you support me on this. We are still waiting for a little bit more material from Iconic.
In terms of Iconic, in terms of material, we have enough material, and we have passed most of stage 2. But we've done that on our own. With our own material, we've done that. We have additional material coming from Le Royal Lithium, which is a secondary project we have in Quebec. We've sourced out additional material from potential producer in Quebec, and we've sourced out material. Vil has been very active at that, of getting other companies to send us material so that we can test with other people's material as much as we can the process. Iconic is going back to drill now, and they will send us material. So in terms of finishing, they're confirming with their own specific material. We're not done with stage 2, and obviously one is connected to the other one. Like we cannot burn the step. We need to get that material in order to process it. So we cannot move to the next stage before that. Also, I'm getting a lot of these questions often saying, oh, you're short on times. The contract will be canceled by the end of the year. Let me say something that everybody understands. We're not, with all the progress we made, we've proven that we're probably one of the only one, and I think we are the only one, the way we're doing it, green and efficient economically, that have developed that type of process that can be used by Iconic. So Iconic is not going to move because we're 6 months or 9 months later. We lost maybe a month or two with COVID, with the pandemic, and we have to wait for the other step to be realized. And at this point, it's the drilling of Iconic that is holding us up a bit. But let me make this very clear. Even if we go over this year and we finish stage 2 and stage 3 in early 2021, and that's not the guidance that was in the original contract, let me say that Richard Kearns, president of Iconic, his pickup truck is not transforming itself into a pumpkin at midnight on December 31st, 2020. So we just need to be rational with this one.
Yeah, and that's a question that came in from Falk 89. Is the contract with Iconic Minerals fulfilled on time? So I guess you've kind of addressed that there.
Yeah, and it is very important. The companies are working on this together, and I think Enrico said It's called R&D because you don't have the answer, and time has to be liquid, and the dates in the agreement between the companies was a guideline rather than being fixed. And so I have all expectations that that if we haven't finished before the timeline of the contract, it'll just simply be extended. We've advanced so well in the project that it would be absolutely stupid to say no, like Frank said, and turn ourselves into a pumpkin on the midnight. It would be stupid from all parts.
Hey guys, so question from me. It's no secret that the company went through some gyration, right, the last couple of years for no fault of its own. But if there's one thing this AGM, beyond the AGM videos, have shown, is that we've got some really strong pillars in the company now. We got Iceland, we've got the North Shore, we've got the processing technology for lithium, and Borealis. How do you guys feel here in the summer of 2020? I know in the summer of 2018, we just ran into unforeseen circumstances. How are you guys feeling about the company now in the summer of 2020, and about the efforts you guys really put forth to get it back to this really strong, stage?
Well, the short answer, if we go back to August 2018, when basically a lot of things evolved, and we managed to get our weapons back. And if you look back, I must say the management of St. George, we've delivered upon all our promises. There will always be some haters out there that will tell us differently, but we have delivered the pilot plant. We've listed CU. We've acquired all the other licenses in Iceland. We've advanced on all projects. We drilled Julie. And we're preparing to drill Iceland. We've got people on the ground. So, and we advanced well on the extraction technology, and Enrico has now a pilot plant. We've got some very strong partners in CTMP and SIMS and COREM and others. So I would say if you look back over the last 3 years, the company has been absolutely transformed. We did clean up, and we did sell Kings of the North, even though we bought it back now. So with a hindsight looking back, I think we can just be proud of what we've done over the period.
Yeah, but I got to tell you, almost Herculean effort to get all those things done. Frank, where do you chime in on this?
Well, I'm looking back at August, and I remember a discussion that we had with the lawyers after everything happened, and the question was, okay, for the lawyers, there was no question. For them, it was like, okay, I will draft the bankruptcy paper for ZU, and we'll bankrupt it and distribute the assets, which everybody's going to lose, and that's it. It was a nice try, but the story is dead, and we'll move back to exploration. The fact that we actually turn it around, that we rebuilt a team there, that we built a company, and that we're going to make a lot of noise with that company in the years to come. Right there, we said, like, I remember Vil, I had a discussion because Vil was now the president, and I asked him, so what do we do? He said, Frank, can you try making something out of this? And I said, well, you do understand we have nothing. We're starting from scratch. We have a few contacts, we have a few interests, but we're going to be starting something totally different. We're going to have to sit down and think of what we want to do. And we said, well, it's worth a try. It's a worst case scenario. It's the lawyers are already ready to bankrupt the company. Now or in 6 months, let's try it. And that was the discussion there. Now, in Iceland, there was so many things. Like, we were not, I would say, master of our own domain, because we were not the main holder of the Tor project, for example. So anything we had to do, asking a permit to drill, we had to go through somebody else that had its own agenda. They had other interests, and obviously other conflict of interest, because they have other business with the government or business with the local entities. Now, Vil that's not something we can put into a press release saying this is fantastic work, because it's been a marathon. It was not something quick. It was a long-term marathon that Vil has run there, and get people to the table and fix every single issue one after another to get us where we are right now. Like tomorrow, when this air, like tomorrow, we'll have a press release regarding results from the Tor Gold project. And that's like, there's activity on it. I'm guessing this week you're going to see some video coming out of there with the geological team on sites. Like, this is things that we've been going at it, like constantly, waking up in the morning, going back at it, going back. It's like working into a coal mine. Like, we're working 15, 16 hours a day, going back at it, talking to a lot of other companies. If you go to ZU, it's the same, Borealis the same. I would say 90% of the meetings were worthless. Not worthless, but I would say, because we're learning from it, but they were, they didn't give any results. But we had to do it. We had to try these things. We had to throw as many things to the wall and see what sticks and what would become a, the angular rocks or the angular brick to build what we've built now. And it's the same thing on the North Shore. Like, there was a lot of things going. We've done a lot of things with two ends attached in the back because we had some restriction. We're still able to move on it. We move with limited resource also, develop process on the metallurgy side of things. We were expecting to spend $10 to $20 million to build a pilot plant. We save 18 months on this by finding a partners that can just do the same thing. Obviously, we don't own the real estate, so this assets is not booked as a, an immobilization, but who cares? Like, I don't want to have to deal with municipal tax. I don't want to have to deal with a leaking roof if it leaks, if after a snowstorm. I don't want to have to deal with a contract to bring some contractor to take the snow out from the parking lot. Somebody else doing that. We come in, it's the best possible situation. We come in with the material, they do the test the way we want them to do it, we get the results. And if we have no test to conduct, we don't need to maintain the building. We don't need to maintain the operation, apart from maintaining our own equipment. And that means that if down the road we need to start a small scale operation on iconic site, well, it's a lot less equipment. They can build our own building over there instead of trying to move everything. And we move the strategic equipment that we have acquired to that new sites. It's we're lean and mean now. That's what it is. And people don't realize the amount, how spring-loaded we are, and the amount of power and that we have behind the different operation right now.
Yeah, I got to admit, and probably because that's legacy left over from, the rug getting pulled out from under the company in August of 2018. And naturally some people bitter and things like that. But
George, I say one thing, because we get them from time to time. I get a text, somebody that eventually I have to block the person, and they say, well, you're running away. I'm not running away. I don't owe you a debate. Like, you want to constantly dwell on something that happened in the past. We didn't contest the past. Like, we've tried to do a transaction fail, and we raised our sleeve and went back to work and build back on it. Now, if you want to constantly go back in the past and accuse us and point finger, do it. Like, someone that we
do it. You're not going to get engaged with Frank and Vil. You can stare in the mirror all you want, but those days are over.
But that's the thing, is that, and often that's very ignorant. It's people that don't care because they sold out of panic. They're not there anymore. They don't want to make the efforts to do any due diligence. And because they sold, they want everybody else to lose. And they want to prove a point. They want to go to their wife and say, it's not because I got super excited and I bought St. George at $2.50 when a month and a half before it was at 3 cents, not trading. It's not because of that. It's because these guys are not good people. And that's like, you want to tell your wife, it's not that I'm an idiot. It's these guys are better crook than I think. But you cannot have it both ways. Like, these people you're a bunch of stupid guys that cannot do anything. And at the same time, we're genius, evil people. Like, it goes both ways. You cannot have it both ways. Either we know what we're doing, either
You can't be
doing bad.
morons in business that are able to hatch evil genius plans.
This is crass ignorance. This is crass ignorance. Like ignorance is a very strong opinion, and that's these people. And we have no time for these people anymore. Like I have other words for them that we cannot use on an interview with you. But you know, you want a lot. I like one of our shareholder who communicate with us a lot, and he had this thing. He said, you know, bag holding is a strong mental defect. And he said, these people, it's a spiral, and they keep going at it. You know what? Average down, follow us. We're down the road. We're going to make money. We didn't sell any shares during that process. People are. I've got people when we said that on other interview. Oh yeah, but you probably had family and whatnot. Now, keep in mind, this was a fantastic situation, like a very out of the ordinary situation. All these trades, all this context, everything that happens, been investigated by multiple Security Commission. They know where 99% of the trades came from. So there's not any, there's no mystery around it. There's no conspiracy theory around it. Stock went up too fast, and it was tough to grab or to catch. And then it went down very fast, where it was like a falling knife that you try to catch. And in between, we still try to run a company that day to day has nothing to do with the market. Day to day, and I've been in this business long enough to say one thing: the market is never right. The market is right 5 seconds every 10 years.
Yeah, it's either way undervalued or way overvalued.
Yeah, you overvalue or you undervalue. It's one or the other. But what we can do on our side is that we can build the fundamentals. And Vil is a builder. Vil is a guy that comes from something that if people knew, like, and it was an adaptation period. I'm going to send you some flowers. The pot will be privately. But Vil has built highways, roads, and bridge in his business and in his time. And he has a tendency to say, okay, this is where we're going. We're here and we're going there. So point A to point B. And a lot of what we do is research and development, where we have to stop at one point and reassess. And it's when you have somebody who's a shooter, who's shoot from the hips and wants to bulldoze, you know, like I said, we were in Julie, Vil was operating the bulldozer and did 6 kilometers of new roads that we're not planning to do in 3 days. So, you know, there's this aspect is that we, with limited resource, has been built something fantastic. There was some hurdle we had to readjust, but it's not a failure. And I'm tired of hearing people saying, oh, there's a delay. No, there's not a delay. There's a realization that we are suddenly at a place nobody has ever been before. And things are a little bit different because the initial assessment 6 months ago was not planning for 100% of this. So 5, 10%, 10% of it have to, you know, force us to adjust, redirect, or you know, we redirect and we continue the right direction. So that's what it is now. And honestly, I don't have any tolerance anymore for the bullshit of some of the people that are coming constantly at us, still think that they can pull.
Vil, you got to feel you almost should go out and have a beer now. You know, here we are doing the AGM August 2020, somewhere a lot of people didn't think you would be at. How proud do you feel about where the company's at, and how strong do you think it is, given the fact that it has technology, R&D, investments in companies like ZU, assets like it does in Iceland, Borealis? You know, how great do you feel, and how strongly do you feel about the company, the position it's in right now?
First of all, I'm extremely proud to be a part of the St. George's team, and St. George's is much more than just me and Frank. It's a team and group of very skilled and highly professional people, which has brought us to where we are. We can look at it like we built a very strong foundation, and so you can say we've loaded the gun. We haven't started firing it. We just loaded it up and cleaned it up, and but we have a very big gun to shoot from. So I think the next 12 months will be absolutely transformational for St. George's because, like Frank said, it's been a lot of work to get to where we are. But now we have everything for the metallurgy technology. We're well set up in Iceland. We're well set up on the North Shore in Canada. So actually, we are fully loaded at the moment and ready to shoot. So I'm extremely excited about the future of St. George's, especially now with the transaction that we did here in Iceland. And people don't understand when we didn't own the assets 100%, but we owned it with 3 governmental bodies. It's just a completely different scenario. And as I said, when we were talking about the gold earlier today, now we can work all year around. Thormosdalur, for example, it's best to work it when the weather is the worst in the middle of the winter, because snow there only gets like 30 centimeters. So it's easy. And this will mean that we will be having results from Thormosdalur on a regular basis. People are always asking, oh, when do you drill? When is the next results? They're due, they're late. I say, no, we're completely on schedule. And now we can do it our way. So I'm extremely excited about the future. And I think we've overcome all these COVID issues. They're now, saying that we've got one geologist in quarantine. So yes, it is making an impact, but that's just time. And I'm not worried about time anymore, because now we're at the stage where
Right.
we will really develop the assets, and good things come to those who wait. And I must say, I did say a couple of years ago that we would under-promise and over-deliver. And if you look back these 2 years, that's exactly what we've done.
You did say that, Vil,
Yeah.
and you have done that.
Yeah,
that's for sure. And I'm gonna say, guys, from the outside, look, I'm a shareholder as well. I went through the rigmarole that a lot of other shareholders went. What I did not go through is what you guys went through, not just you two, but the entire team. But I'm going to say this straight up, because I've been there before. The rug gets pulled out from under you, and everybody in the world wants to blame you and then wish you nothing but the worst. But you have some people, many people, who quietly believe and are loyal and believe that you're going to say what you do. And you guys have done it full 100. Right now, it's August 2020. It's 2 years later, and this isn't patchwork anymore. This isn't, well, we've half fixed problem 1 and we've kind of dealt with problem 2. Issue number 3, we haven't even gotten to because we're busy and just couldn't do it. You guys are right now, if there's one thing that's clear from this video series for this AGM, is that everything is moving along beautifully, which even I, who was a big believer in you guys, would have said 2 years ago, well, I'll give you a 15% chance of having everything going back in motion within 2 years. And if you had, without even knowing that Corona was going to hit. And here you guys are with the lithium processing moving ahead great. Now you've got the pilot plant contracted. You've got Iceland back. That looks fantastic. You've got Julie going, and Manic, right? And those look very, very promising, and you're working. And you got Borealis, which for a lot of people is the hardest part to understand, but nonetheless, it was a pillar of the company that has not been forgotten and is also moving forward. So the fact that you guys are able to take all the pillars, restore them, and make them stronger, hats off to you guys. I'm not kidding when I say that. That's quite the feat that you two and the entire team pulled off. And I think the future of St. George right now looks fantastic for the next 24, 36 months.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree.
All right, gents. I guess that wraps up this Beyond the AGM video series. For everyone who's watched or listen, because maybe you listen via Spotify and or your favorite podcast channel. You've had a lot of information to absorb, a lot of great information to absorb, and I'm sure what a lot of you are going to do is you're going to gravitate to the pillar that you like the most. For those of you who love resources, you're going to gravitate to one pillar. For those of you who love tech, you're going to graduate to the other pillars. But bottom line is all the pillars are going great. Thanks to the shareholders who have been here, who have been loyal and have been supportive and participated in this Q&A. And thanks to the company for taking the time. As you can tell, this is a big production to put this together, to really, really, wrap the story, put a bow on it, and present it to shareholders. And looking forward to a great 12 months and beyond. So thanks to everyone. Have a great day, and see you on the St. George Verified Forum on AGORACOM. Let's keep the conversations going.
Thank you.
Thank you, George.